Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to share with you my thoughts around the DEC-B token. This was recorded with my YouTube members, and if you want to be present during these conversations, when I record this material, you want to add your comments, ask your questions, consider checking out my YouTube community tab. But in this one, I'm going to tell you why I'm staunchly against the DEC-B proposal and why I think it's a gigantic failure. But also I'm going to point out one key repair or change to the proposal that might actually make it work. So I hope you'll stick around and stay tuned for this one. Have an amazing day. God bless. Once implemented, the SPS stakeholder community can vote to conduct a sale of a specified amount of DEC-B tokens at any time in DC and or voucher tokens at any time and for a specified amount of time in order to help bolster the demand for DEC. It won't do that. This is the thesis right here of why this proposal is good, and this is 100% verifiably wrong. Like, it's just wrong. I'm gonna read it out loud, and I'm gonna try and respond to it. And you guys already know this, but I think this needs to be clipped later and shared with the community because this is why I stand against this proposal. They say that selling 2 billion DEC-B for DEC or vouchers is going to, once implemented, this SPS stakeholder community can vote to conduct a sale of specified amount of DEC-B tokens at any time. So we can sell not just these 2 billion, but in the future we can sell even more to DEC-B based on our community's vote at any time, at any price in DEC or voucher tokens, at any time for any specified amount of time. So the idea is we can, in order to help bolster the demand for DEC when it is needed. Why would creating DEC-B bolster the demand for DEC? The thinking is it's going to take away DEC from the market, reducing supply. Because if we sell DEC-B, 2 billion DEC-B, and we've got 6 billion DEC, and we sell 2 billion DEC-B, well, when these DEC-B sell, we're going to lower our DEC liquidity. And that's going to, quote, bolster the demand for DEC. No, it won't. It does nothing for demand. It changes the supply, but we're so saturated with supply, and that's why we're below peg, that this will not resolve that. Plus, these are transferable. So there's no reason the DEC-B are transferable. And so there's no reason that once I trade my DEC for DEC-B that I can't then market price trade these DEC-B tokens. And the amount of utility that they're giving to the DEC-B means that for all intents and purposes, the DEC-B is just as easy to use, just as, it has all the justifications, all the help, all the need that I'm going to want anyways. So I'm getting a discount. This is 100% for sure not going to bolster the demand for DEC. It's going to lower the demand for DEC and increase the demand for DEC-B until that DEC-B gets spent, which will take years because we're not spending that anytime soon. Especially when you look at things like half of this list of things of how they'll be able to be used isn't even ready yet. Land potions, survey potions, guild alliance building upgrades on land, maintenance, boosts in land expansion, future mini editions, those don't exist yet, and pending DAO approval, of course, and who knows if that'll even pass. Skins and cosmetics, none of this is ready. So you're saying like in 1 or 2 years when you've got these things ready, then we'll be able to spend our DEC-B in these dramatic ways? Really, the only way that we could use it right now is we've got 2 ways to use it. Guild buildings, which guild buildings are highly limited based on the amount of crowns your guild has. You can't just buy guild upgrades. You need guild upgrades to be leveled very slowly because the crowns are a restricting factor. I don't want to fully explain that, but suffice it to say this one source is not very substantial in terms of being a sink for DEC or for DEC-B. So you've got this one source of use for DEC-B and one other use case right now. And it comes down to this word, the transferability. You can sell your discounted DEC-B under the value of DC, and therefore you've got an arbitrage opportunity where you can make profit in the short term by selling to buyers who want to acquire DC for things like guild buildings. So whales will be able to accumulate DEC-B and distribute to us at a discount for us, but a profit for them allowing, yes, eventually guild buildings to be used and some of these other things, but it's not going to do this thesis of bolstering demand for DEC. It's absolutely going to do the exact opposite. You will see DEC price drop by 15% or more as a product of this passing. Whew. I need to, that'll be my video that I'm going to share on that one, because guys, I don't see how this is exactly wrong-minded, in my opinion. Bobby says, definitely micromanaging always creates problems. Yeah, Paul's here. Dude, good to see you. Howdy. Rick on the Mountain, we need 100% of the team focus on land and nodes. Let the DEC do what it does until then. Burn 1% DEC on every transaction for land resources both ways. It will get, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I haven't heard really anybody say, like, let's just burn DEC, but we could. There's ways that certain economies, if we're going to control these things, and I'm not saying we need to control it. I think we could just let it be and it'll happen over a period of time. But if we really want to, enforce something, you could just do a burn mechanic that essentially taxes every sort of use. Like every use, this is what happens with other tokens. SPS does this. I think, when you transact, a small amount is burnt and it adds up over time. Rick on the Mountain, not half baked. This proposal is either fully baked, like someone smoked way too much weed, or it's dough that's not even had a chance to rise yet. Listios, also Bulldog, even if a bit biased, is still right about the fact that on the management cut they made, they clearly said they will stop trying to add new stuff, but simply focus on delivery. That's true. They did say that. 100% they said that. Yeah, and Rick agrees. This is what should be done. Focus on what we already have on the pipeline. Yes, totally. We've got, there's tons of fish to fry, guys. There's we got to work on reward cards soon. We got to get Rebellion's going to be out before you know it. Land needs to be here ASAP. That's a lot. And there's other things too. Once the demand for DEC-A and DEC-B is gone, don't worry, DEC-C will definitely do it. Oh yeah, 100%, man. That's what happens. I'm loath to draw this analogy, but I will, because I really, really don't like this proposal. Guys, banana republics, like economies that are being managed by real, bad actors, they let inflation run so hot, you get hyperinflation. Hyperinflation means every month your dollar is worth half of its previous value. It loses half of its value every month. That happens and has happened with every fiat currency ever. So hear me out. Hyperinflation always happens to every country and every currency ever, because countries are run by people who want to make you like them. So they give you free things by not taxing, but by creating new fiat currency, and so they can buy those things. That's inflation. That leads to hyperinflation. That leads to failure of fiat currency. Why am I bringing this up? In situations in countries where that has happened in the past, whether it's Zimbabwe or Brazil, they'll issue a new currency. Even America did this, guys. You might not know. You Americans might not. You might think that happens elsewhere. What didn't happen with the U.S. dollar? Yes, it has. It has happened more than once already with the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar used to be backed entirely by gold. Then not at all. It's more than once. It's happened in the U.S. history of the U.S. dollar being backed by gold, which meant it actually carried value, to a place where now it's backed by nothing. And there was a variety of iterations, including, I think, a 70% or backing as recently as the 60s or whatever. But my point is, each time that changed, it was a new release of the US dollar, a totally different currency. Although it looks the same, it exchanges the same. That has been the unraveling of the US dollar over the last decades. And my point is, what has always happened with fiat currencies is that the economies will release they'll release some new version of the same token. And that's what we're trying here. We're trying to say DEC is overinflated. So let's create DEC-B and we'll get it right this time. And when that doesn't work, we're going to try DEC-C and DEC-D and 100%. 100%. Well, don't even call it DEC-B. That might be, me being cynical. Forget about it. You don't even need to speculate. It's literally written right there in that part I read. Once implemented, the community can vote to conduct a sale of any amount of DEC-B tokens at any price, at any time, for any specified amount of time. That means this time we're going to lower the price of DEC by 20%. Next time, to bolster demand, we can lower DEC price by 25% more. By every time we're doing this, we're just giving, this is absolutely hyperinflation. And this is a complete failure. This would be terrible. I sincerely hope this doesn't pass unless it's soul-bound. And then I can see the justifications. You're essentially taking a 20% deduction. You're giving a 20% reduction in the price for the locking up of the DEC. That would be a true locking up. Because if it's soul-bound, you can then spend it on any of these things with that account that you've acquired the DEC-B, but it's soul-bound. It can't be transferred. That's broken, guys. This one word ruins this whole proposal. Matt and Aggie have become the Federal Reserve, says Gathering. Sadly, it's built by design, but to be this way, which is why I'm saying it's our duty as players and investors of Splinterlands to avoid reproducing the same pattern as we see elsewhere. 100%. Gold and silver for the win, says Alistios. Yeah,